I'm going to thank people here and there, and if I don't thank you like by name, don't like charge it to my head. I mean, don't charge it to my heart, charge it to my head, because there's so much going around. Under the Sun is a book that took me 4 years to write and 4 years to find a publisher. And I was pregnant for 4 years. That's a long time. But it was worth it. I want to thank the #1 person who's responsible for making this. Have you seen the book? Isn't it gorgeous? My editor is in the house, Scott Douglas from Main Street Rag. Where are you? He's in the back. Round of applause for Scott. Thank you. I want to tell you a little bit of the story before I go ahead and read some poems from it. I was at the Carolina Literary Festival, and I was reading with John Ely. And after the reading, Scott came up to me, and he said, "You know what? I really don't like performance poets." He said, "But if that's what you do, I like what you do, and call me." Isn't that amazing? And so I sent him an email, and I never heard back from him. And me with my shy self said, that must mean no. And I never called, and I never questioned, and I just went away. And when I was in Seattle, I got an email from him, and he's like, "Where are you? Do you not want your book published?" And if it wasn't for him extending that long arm back out, this book would not be here tonight. And I think he's done a wonderful, most fabulous job, not just on this book, but if you go to Main Street Rag, all of his books are completely gorgeous. So we must support our independent publishers. Awesome job, Scott. Thank you. The other two people I want to thank are my agents, Peggy and John Lloyd. And even though they have a national reach, sometimes they live here or they live out there. But they support amazing artists. Hobie Ford's in the house, and Alan Wolf and Billy Jonas are also artists on the rosters. I don't know if there's anyone else out there that's supported by the Lord, but they do amazing work, and they're the ones who make it possible for me to make a living from poetry. And I want to thank you all. They're fine agents, but more than that, they are fine human beings, and they have added to my life immensely. Two other people that I want to thank shortly. I want to thank all the 4 poets and Dee who came up and shared their words. Would you give them a round of applause? And this next person is really responsible for me being here. She is the woman who is outshining me tonight in her clothes. Her name is Glenis Redmond, my mama. If you don't know my mama and you haven't met my mama, make sure before you leave you get a hug from my mama. She has a beautiful energy, and I've been blessed to be her daughter. I've been even more blessed when I had my daughters and realized how much mothers do. And I didn't become grateful really until I was in my 30s, which is so old. But this woman is phenomenal. She has supported me in my writing career. She has supported me in growing as a person, as a human being. And she listens to every single one of my poems, and she'll say, "That's your best." That's the money, Glenis. That one's the money. And what that means is that it's unconditional love. And I've been fortunate to have that. And it's healed me greatly. And she's my rock. Thank you, Mom. And the other person that I want to thank, I have twin daughters. And only one of them's here tonight. The other one is at Agnes Scott playing on the soccer field right now. And that's okay. She can be there. And my other daughter, Celeste, who's in the house tonight, who's sitting here. She's very shy and she does not like to be called out like that, but Amber and Celeste both are really two people who've made me the person I am today. I really did not come into my own and really learn how to love until I became a mother. And I did not know when I brought those two babies home if I had enough room in my heart. And what I found is that it just keeps stretching, and here they are, going to turn 19 next week. And my heart is still stretching. And people say, poet first. No, I have never been ever confused. It's mama first, then poet. And I tell people my only true epic poems are my daughters. I'm going to just go and read some more poems, and I want to thank all of you for being here. As you know, this is my 45th birthday. And I want to do this poem for you. I'm going to read a few poems. I'm going to read some from Under the Sun, and then I'm going to read a few poems from Eighth Element, and then we're going to call it an evening, and then we can, celebrate, okay? All right? We can talk and hug and kiss and all that kind of stuff. This poem is for my sister. I wrote it for her birthday. My sister couldn't be here tonight. She had an ailment. But this poem is for her, and it's in the book. It's called Sister Complex. Because my sister was one of those sisters, and I don't know if you have a sibling who was perfect. Anybody know what I'm talking about? I mean, and there was nothing you could do. I was like, I could never touch her. There was nothing I could do. So there was a little bit of love. There was a lot of love, but there was always a little bit of envy that was going on. So I wrote her this poem. It's called Sister Complex. I studied in her shadow. Who needed the voice of Vogue? I flipped the pages of Belinda. The icon of my prepubescent angst, she was everything in my father's eyes. I was not. She came here via the Sahara of my mother's slopes, progressed through life trippantly, stacked with devout determination and purpose. She could write, she could run, she could sing. Lord have mercy, could she sing? She could cook, she could sew, she could dream, she could travel. Did I mention y'all she could run? No. She could fly. Faster and higher than anyone I have ever known. I never stopped to ask the question why she could fly. She just knew, and her world was seamless. Satin went rough in her presence. I remember slipping there into her closet, hoping to discover at least one run or to see if one shoe heel were crooked or krill. They were painfully perfect. As if she walked on stratus clouds by day and traveled with the agility of shooting stars in her dream. It was this day I knew I would never be her. Play with the defect of one leg 1/8 inch too short. And my shoes live hard for the wearing. Her Afro-wearing beauty was in sync with the 60s. Black and Latino brothers used to fall listless from trees. Just the talk, just the walk, just the vibe off this Nubian goddess. See? And her beauty was world music. And you can hear the congas, the shakerays, and the kalimbas in each step. And each step was a song. It was she who called the motherland to me, lifted me up out of my dogged Buster Brown blues, aligning vertebrae after vertebrae, taking me there to the motherland, for it loved her, for it adorned her at birth with the marks of beauty, with a cowrie shell regalness, until she married dusk and wore indigo as her cloak. Under this dark wing, she created a legion of dancing women called the Afroettes. Dancing African in the 60s to a world who never loved black. These multi-brown women taught me well. I inhaled their ebony onyx aura. I exhaled their smoky essence. Yes, to be clothed in African robes and bend my back to God and the ancestors. But the entrance age was 12. And I was only 9. And now when people see me under the lamplight on the corner of poetry and prose, they don't know I'm not just singing my song. I am 9, and I've been joined by a legion of dancing women who've managed in this life not to give over to Vogue, Cosmo, or any given channel on the TV screen. I owe the aspiration of my hips to my sister, who held a place for me, a coming out, coloring me beautiful with her brown rays, teaching me a ritual, a study, a standard of beauty, not outside of myself.